Hello, welcome back to Living Resonance. I'm Monifa, and today we're exploring the cosmic current of the gene keys and the lunar cycle. So you can cultivate your voice, live your genius, and weave your legacy in harmony with these frequencies that are being given to us so generously, so generously. If you haven't watched the Urban Vision podcast for the month, I highly recommend it. There's some exciting things that we're talking about, and we talked about the application of the energies this month in our Cosmic Creatrix membership. So if you haven't gotten a chance to check that out, go ahead and download the Cosmic Creatrix Manifesto and see if this is something that you want to be spending more time and energy on, knowing how these things are influencing us and how we can allow them to support us in our goals and where we're going in life. It's totally available. And yeah, the solstice is a big deal. And it was a good thing to go over for the month because it's really that energy that's going to carry us through into the equinox, right? So that's that 3 month period. And it's strong energy and it really sets us up. Whenever we get in tune with the current frequencies, it sets us up so well for what's coming for the next round. And at times even feel ahead of the game, which, is hard to get a taste of those things in this day and age. So, at least for me, I'm taking it where I can get it. I do want to address the whole AI thing. I have tried using AI for astrology definitions, meanings, applications. It does okay with what I have found, at least what I've worked on, what I've looked for. It does okay with like whole sign, which I use more Placidus for the Western chart. But it really goes off the rails sometimes with gene keys. So I just check that out. Gene keys is a highly contemplative work, and there's just not we may not be there yet in the nuance of AI. I'm not saying it would never be there. It just maybe there's not enough information in the system or something, but it's just not. Some of them, like I did one was just like right on, and everything else I've tried has been wrong. So and now I'm even questioning kind of the astrological information I've gotten from them because I'm like, are they just doing kind of their own version of generalities? Because it wasn't even the way I would say it, even though there is some accuracy and, it's a fire sign. So it feels, this way, whatever, this kind of thing. So I would just double check the references if you are using AI for astrology. And um, and yeah, and I think part of astrology is the intuitive reading. So how we're reading the energy for the people that hear us. And so that may not seem like selective to you because we're sharing this in a mass audience platform. But the truth is, if you found me and you're still here, then there's a reason why you're talking to me. And there's a reason why the way I see and translate the information may impact you in a way that's more felt and more understood, and more able to be integrated so that you can live out this energies to the best of your ability, right? So that just something to think about, when we're starting to incorporate more and more for efficiency. We also want to think about what are we leaving behind? What are the components that we're not willing to leave behind, right? And for me, astrology is personal, right? So if you're getting serious about astrology, then don't leave it all up to AI. Okay, learn for yourself. Start like learning that interpretation, the feelingness of the different energies for yourself. It's not gonna really serve you if you care and if you're learning and you want to know more about astrology. If you're just letting the definitions tell you what it means, you really want to start living them out, checking your experiences, by what's happening in transit. That's really how you know them. You know them in the body. You know them as a truth within your body, and not just an idea that sounds good or doesn't sound good, right? It can be really a guide if we're just kind of arbitrarily deciding when to listen to it, or arbitrarily deciding when to apply what definition, this kind of thing, right? So just to keep the ideas that just you want to check in for your own reasoning. If you're going to spend time on it, might as well be useful, right? So This month, we're talking about the full moon in Sagittarius, which is Gene Key 26. And I use Quantum Human Design, Gate 26. Okay. So the themes in Gene Keys are of pride as a shadow, artfulness is the gift, and city is mastery, SIDDHI, which is, again, the next classification. So this is the genius of right action. This is about attuning and reflecting on the energy of pride. So if you look just at that pride as the shadow level, you're just, it's this belief that you have to overcome in order to get what you want or will to happen. And they talk about will in the Gene Keys as light, as being able to harness and apply light, which is energy, or therefore a form of power, right? So like even the what I call it, programming partner is 45, and that is oops, I lost it. Yeah, so so 45 is essentially, but it's a force, right? It's not, that's not the actual word. I've lost the actual word, but basically it's about domination. Domination is the shadow of the programming partner. So that's huge, right? Because now you're saying that it's okay to take over someone or something. Now, the only reason why you would feel that way is if you're in fear, like if that you won't get what you need or what you want if you don't physically dominate or purposefully dominate somebody, willfully dominate, right? And you don't, and what it ultimately means is that you're not allowing life to work for you. You're not allowing universe, you're not allowing God to support you, right? You're not allowing what the natural resources are to support you. So it makes for a very challenging life. You're creating enemies instead of friends. There's less ease and a natural flow to your life. And it feels like, and it is like, you're pitting your will against everything, everyone, right? And the ultimate shadow here. So when you were doing that, you feel like you don't have anybody to watch your back. You feel like you have to be on guard every single moment. You feel like you have to get everything done all by yourself, right? You can't relax for a single moment. No, there's no relaxing for me. Right? It's out of this fear that if you don't do more, work harder, fight fast, fight harder, right? You're not going to get what you want. So on the repressive side, this frequency, this energy is called manipulative, something like that. It is basically when you're putting people down so that they don't feel like they can fight you, which so you're trying to like kind of keep them from winning by messing with their mind. You can use guilt and shame as weapons. And essentially, so that you can get people out of the way to get what you want, but in the end, it causes separation. And the only reason why you want what you want is because, the circular reasoning would be that if you had what you want, people would love you and respect you for what you have, right? So ultimately, it's going against your true goal. Your true goal is for people to love you and accept you, right? But as a result of pitting your will against people, you're causing separation, the exact opposite of what you want. And that's the only reason why it's a shadow, not because the frequency is bad or that their shadow is even bad. It's because you're living in a perspective of fear is giving you the opposite of what you want, right? On the reactive side, it's boastful. So it's the idea of like a negative ego for just being like super boastful and trying to make people like you for what you have and what you do. And so you keep talking about everything that you do right. Again, the goal of this is so that people would love and respect you and think that you're great and want to spend more time and love you even more, right? But again, this causes separation because it makes people feel like that's all that you care about, or that you don't respect anybody who doesn't have what you have. It gives a sense of separation, right? So the full potential, the full power of this is to be able to harness light. That's literally what's happening in the genetic matrix of this. It's taking the light and allowing it to be used and absorbed by the cell. So it's like functionality of why when we go out into the sun, we have the resource of vitamin D, right? It's like there's a natural function within the cell that allows that to happen. And so that's this, okay? And so the will, the ability to harness light, to be able to apply energy to something new, right? Or something that you've chosen. So this is amazing. Like I think all of us want to be able to harness the light that is ours, that has been given to us, shine down upon us by the sun, by the resources that we've been given, by the seeds that have been planted within us from our parents and our community and our friends and loved ones. We would love to turn that energy and make it into something beautiful, right? So, in order to do this, we have to start understanding the difference between will and intention. So, and what is appropriate when. So, one of the quotes that I pulled down for this is your higher purpose can only manifest when you surrender individual will to nature as a whole. This process of surrender begins with understanding that your higher purpose is something you must tune into rather than impose upon the world. So that's like so much of what I've been talking about today, and I feel like I've been talking all day, so forgive me if I feel a little tired. But it is this, you can only be on purpose when you're tapped in. You can only harness the light effortlessly and with flow when you're tapped in. If you're afraid, then you're not allowing. And the allowingness is the truthfulness that we are already fully resourced and that we have everything we need. And that you will everything like you put your mind to and your effort on, if you're in that flow, will have a result that's effectual, that's useful, that's you're willing to count. Um, I think a lot of times we look at this and we're like, oh, well, I've been working this hard and where I have this certain or specific outcome like money. And the reality is that it may come to you as a different resource. It may come to you as wisdom so that you have more money later or that you don't waste the money when you get it. So there's always a reason, right? It's not that the energy it cannot be wasted, it cannot be destroyed, right? Not created or destroyed, but recycled, moved throughout the system. It's going to be transferred somewhere. Okay, if it's in use and you're using it, it's going to be transferred. And if it's at a pure will of ego and that shadow ego, then it may not be so yummy when it comes back toward your system, right? That may not feel like abundance, if somebody's fighting back, right? So you want to learn to listen to your intention, your intuition. What your intention is your agreement and commitment to allowing intention or the truth of energy to flow, the truth of what wants to be done, felt, said. Okay. Those are all things that are happening in real time, which is why it can be so powerful to learn things like how to listen to your energetic body and to respond to things in the energetic plane, because it gives you this high discernment, high sensitivity to directing the light, directing the energy as needed. And so it's just the difference is to know when you're being manipulated by your own ego or when you're surrendering to ultimate will, right? So you can think of this as God, as universe, as nature, divine will, right? It already has a plan now, so it's already a best way through. So even in the city here, it's called invisibility. So it's less like it's to me. There's another city called transparency, and it feels like that to me, which is just like let go of yourself, let go of this idea of self, so that you can let all that can be show up. The less we have the old fuddy-duddy ideas bogged down by trauma and weird old ass systems. The more we get bogged down, the slower we are to act. And this is not a time for slow action. This is a time for right action. The right action must be felt, must be understood by the heart and allowed by the body and supported by the mind. Mind is last, in my opinion, unless it's following the intention of the heart. Then you can kind of let it start mapping you a path to those things. Okay. So, what I got for you today is a checklist. You know, I'm the embodiment person, but I think today we're going to focus on the checklist. If you want more information on my embodiment, I am in the process of developing a research study on my practice, the Oman's method, that helps you quickly regulate your nervous system and to be more effective in performance and real-time response. To me, that's so much of what's coming up for this month. And so I know it's needed. So if you're somebody who needs more of that, please contact me or contact me. You would need to email me at this point to be able to join the study because it is a private study at this point. Um, or we can start getting to work and really getting something done in the way that you need it and your aligned energy and your ability to create magic and your gifts. All right, so the 5 kinds of integrity that is part of what the quantum human design is giving us here, the 26 gates in or quantum human design is called integrity. And there are 5 forms of integrity. So I'm pulling this from Karen Murray Parker's work, Quantum Human Design. The first is physical integrity. It's an experience when our bodies are healthy and vital. So this is why it's so important to be healthy, because if our bodies can't recognize the energy, if they can't recognize the light, then it's not giving us our resource. We're not getting enough vitamin D, right? Or if you're not giving it a chance to, if you're not putting in a place to get that light, right, then it's not able to harness that resource. And the second one is resource integrity, is when we are using our material resources in sustainable ways. So, I mean, resource, it can mean so many different things, but we're honing in here on our material resources, our financial. Again, like you may have plenty of money or exactly what you need, but if we're not managing it and letting it to serve in the ways that are best supporting our goals and our needs, then it may not feel like you have enough, right? So management or integrity of resources. Identity integrity is experienced when we feel that we can fully manifest the value of our authentic identity and we don't compromise who we are for the sake of money. So this is about who you be, like who are you being? That's what how I like to speak of purpose and identity. This is not something we're putting on just as a characterization. We might be trying things on as experimentation in how our energy lives and thrives in a different way of being, but we're not like, you know, manipulating. That's not our goal, at least in my house. In my house, it's not about manipulation. It's about feeling the full gamut of what you're available to create, right? Moral integrity is the courage to do the right thing and to make sure that our actions are honest and aligned with high principled values, high principles and values. And you choose those, right? You get to tell yourself what should there be more of in the world? What would make the world a better place? I stand by those things and I value those things. And I tell people that when I'm valuing something and I expect them to at least acknowledge and hear what I have valued and how I like to work as a matter of principle. But those things must be well communicated in order for them to be agreed upon or even compromised if we're coming from different cultures, different thought patterns, different beliefs, right? Sometimes it takes a lot of listening and in order to find the same page. And that's just what we're missing right now. Nobody's listening. And we're all a little overwhelmed. So that makes it even harder to listen. But we have to listen. And there's nothing going to fix this better than deeper listening And that's what I'm really inviting people to is a deeper listening of themselves, of their environment, of who they really are and how they're really feeling, who they're being in their environment, right? So we can have clarity in how we're showing up and how we're serving. All right, one more. Five is energetic integrity. It's the experience when we are consistently and deliberately resting and taking care of ourselves so we have the energy to engage in life in a sustainable way, with life in a sustainable way. So this, again, I feel it's like I don't understand, like in a lot of ways, I don't get how people don't get this principle because, again, nature is modeling it to us so perfectly. There's a time for sun, there's a time for the moon, there's a time, and like they might change how much we get throughout the year depending on what we're working on in the environment, but they're not being nullified completely, right? Depending on where you are on the planet, it may look a little different, but the sun will come back eventually, you know? So, like, allowing ourselves to rest, allowing ourselves the downtime. I'm working pretty hard today. I worked all day and I'm tired and I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I still got so much to do. And Daryl's like, go to sleep. I'm like, oh, that's not helpful because I've been resting essentially for 2 days and that's why I have so much to do, right? It's time to do, right? And I know also I'm late luteal, so I know that this energy isn't gonna just bounce back up, right? I need to take longer periods of rest. So for me, it meant, okay, let me put in another hour and then I'll rest. But you have to plan for it. You have to plan to rest. And it's the last thing a lot of times we're putting on our schedule. And I think a well-run system, especially a business, you put it on a schedule first. I think it was Ryan Eliason, Visionary Business School. And when you were blocking out your time for your business, you put your vacation time in first. And even if you don't have, vacation money, you put the time in because that's what you are working towards. And at minimum, you want to be setting up your mind to know that's coming, right? So you're building in time, you're building in sustainability to your business when you build in your time and you build in your rest points. Okay. So to be a better leader, you have to know when you're resting and when your team needs a rest as well. When it's time to restore. Rest to me is restoration. So you're taking the time to restore the energy that you've spent and get ready for what you're doing next. Preparing so that you can move forward strongly because that next move, that next push, that next launch, is going to take a lot of energy to get going, right? That first step is always high initiation energy, high fire. It takes a ton of quick energy to get going. It's the nature of the beast, okay? So we want to be fully rested and in a point of clarity, because otherwise we're taking off. You take off at the wrong angle, you're going to miss the whole boat, right? So that's what I have for you today. And, anytime I give you any other thing, when you're journaling, I'm always going to remind you to breathe and drink more water. Breathe and drink more water. And if you can get a little humming in, I highly recommend it. If you can get the whole almost practice in, then you're winning. I trust that you're winning. And yeah, I have actual scientific data for that later. I'm so excited about the frequency beta study. So again, if you want to know more about that, connect with me. Just message me on YouTube or send me an email. Send me a direct message. I'm also on Facebook. But that's all at the top of my YouTube channel. So just find me there and pick one to connect with me on. Or you can comment under the video. Oh, that's an idea. You can actually send me a comment. What are you thinking about? What are you going to apply this new exciting understanding to? So, in closing, remember we're not here to read the stars. That's not what we're doing. We're here to weave their frequency and wisdom into our leadership, our creativity, and our lives. So, breathe that in, hmm, sound it out, and live it forward. I'll see you on the next one.